From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, APC, PDP, Labour presidential candidates woo voters in Kaduna, Plateau and Kogi states pledge to improve security and economic activities in the north. On the heels of DSS ultimatum, House of Representatives gives NNPC 1 week to end fuel shortage. Court sentences 3 to die by hanging in Kwara for murder. And on the foreign scene, at least 50 people killed in Congo floods, death toll expected to rise. Hello and welcome to News Hour on Trust TV. I'm Darshan Hussaina Usman. We begin with politics, where the presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, has pledged to address security and economic challenges bedeviling the North if elected president come 2023. Tinubu made the pledge during a presidential rally in Kaduna on Tuesday. Bello Musa completes the report.
Addressing the party supporters at the Kaduna rally, the APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu said, addressing the challenges of the North will enable the region witness development in all spheres.
To remain loyal to our country, you will never regret it. Inshallah. All those troublemakers, violent kidnappers, killers, all troublemakers, I assure you, we will eliminate them.
Earlier, the chairman of the party, Abdullah Adamu, and the director general of the APC presidential campaign and governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, urged people of the Northwest and the North in general to vote APC for economic prosperity of the region. For prosperity, development, and security of the North, I urge all of you to vote for APC and Aswaju in 2023 election for the continuation of the good work started by President Muhammadu Buhari. Aswaju has the capacity and the competency to lead the nation. He has good plans for women and youth. National chairman of the party, Abdullah Adamu, handed over flags to presidential candidate of the party, Bola Tinubu, Kaduna APC governorship candidate Obasani, and other candidate of the State and National Assembly. Security agencies and vigilante groups were deployed in and around the venue of the rally to ensure the safety of the crowd. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
The People's Democratic Party presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has pledged to restore peace and improve economic activities in Plateau State. Abubakar, who made this known on Tuesday at the presidential rally of his party in Jos, also said if elected, he would ensure his administration sees to the reconstruction of federal roads linking Plateau and other neighboring states. Ado Musa completes the report.
The presidential rally, which held at the Ruampan Stadium, drew supporters of the party from within and outside the states, including some PDP governors. While addressing party supporters, Atiku said if elected president, he will restore peace and confidence in the state.
I have been a resident in this state for the past 28 years. We have promised that we will restore peace in this state. We will also revamp the economy of this state. We will also make sure this state is connected to the neighboring states as far as the road infrastructures are concerned. APC has neglected all the roads connecting Plateau with other states in the country. We promise, because you are a PDP state, we promise we will make sure these roads are rehabilitated. We will revamp the economy. We will bring about peace and prosperity, particularly to our young men and women.
In his remark, the PDP national chairman, Iyorchia Ayu, called on the people of the state to vote PDP to rebuild the country.
By the people of Nigeria, and that is you. When you left PDP, PDP left you, and you started suffering. Do you want PDP to come back? Yes. Will you live again? No. And therefore, I want to thank you for coming out in such large numbers, because this party is going to rebuild the party and rebuild the country.
Various dignitaries at the rally, including governors, also affirmed that if Atiku voted into power, he will ensure that peace, infrastructure, and other economic activities are top priorities of his administration. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Meanwhile, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has again said that if voted to power next year, his administration will move Nigeria from a consumer to a producer nation. Peter Obi disclosed this on Tuesday while addressing supporters during a campaign rally at the Confluence Stadium, Lokoja, in Kogi State. The Labour Party presidential candidate stated that it is a promise he is vowed to keep once he assumes power via the forthcoming presidential election in the country. Obi added that his team is not in the state to buy votes, but to tell the voters how he is prepared to save the country. However, he promised to ensure that the moribund federal government iron and steel industry at Ajaokuta is revived to give strong backing to the economy. Still in politics, Governor Umar Zulum has said humanitarian support is still needed for resettled communities and IDPs taking refuge in neighboring counties. The Borno State Governor stated this during the flag-off of his governorship re-election campaign in Maiduguri. Governor Zulum, while highlighting 3 years of developmental projects and interventions in the state, said he will make security his top priority if re-elected into office. He commended the president and security agencies for restoring and maintaining peace in Borno State. He called on party supporters to vote for APC, but bearing in mind to play according to rules and shun enmity.
1 week ago, I compared the reason to travel to Warsaw in the Czech Republic to meet our fellow citizens taking refuge in camps. That visit was another reminder about the rallies, about the realities of our people are dealing with. Despite our settlement effort, thousands of our fellow citizens are still in need of food, clothes, shelter, and means of livelihood. Despite our establishment of leather schools and rehabilitation of others, millions of our school-age children are still out of school. Despite our work on 200 healthcare centers, many citizens, amongst them women, children, and aged persons, are still without healthcare. Yet a huge majority of our people live in abject poverty and without employment. Your Excellencies, fellow stakeholders, party members, and supporters, these challenges are enumerated and more, and the main reason why I, alongside my capable Deputy Usman Kadafur, are seeking election for another 4 years. We have never seen the volume and quantum of transformation in terms of infrastructure, in terms of capacity development, in terms of security, in terms of the healthcare educational facilities that we have brought. We really appreciate you and you really deserve to continue.
Prospective voters in Bauchi State have faulted the Independent National Electoral Commission on the distribution exercise of permanent voters' cards that commenced on Monday nationwide. They made their feelings known during the collection of PVCs at the Bauchi Local Government INEC office. Trust TV's Adamu Imam has details.
The distribution exercise, which commenced on Monday, recorded low turnout of registered voters at the local government INEC center in Bauchi, in contrast with the large number of people in the voter register. Some of the voters at the center lamented how they were asked to wait till January next year after several attempts to get their PVCs.
2 weeks coming, the Seneca call, that is January 23. So, and I don't know the time of the using of this very card. When they say they make a come on January, so make them help me so that I will collect the card before the survey time.
My headquarters in Nigeria. So amma duk lokacin da muka zo local government secretariat na INEC zamu karbi wannan abin sai ya zama.
I went to the headquarters during the update exercise. But anytime I come to local government, my PVC is still hanging. I'm not happy with the situation. I'm appealing for those who are responsible to rectify the problem. This is our right to collect. I may decide to remain at home with my PVC not to vote. But all the time, INEC told us they will be ready through the media, while the reverse is the case.
However, on the issue of low turnout, Mohammed Aliyu decried the last-minute approach of some Nigerians to issues, despite calls from several quarters on the importance of PVC's collection.
Till the end of the exercise, that you can see people rushing to INEC to collect their PVC, but hardly see them coming at the beginning of any issue. At least people should change their mindset. For the good, they should change this attitude.
While responding off-camera, INEC local government officials attributed the low turnout to the fact that majority of people registered newly, adding that the present collection exercise is for those who updated their PVCs not long ago, and assure that by January the new ones will be ready. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The federal government has taken a swipe at former Vice President Atiku Abubakar over his criticisms of President Muhammadu Buhari's regime handling of the Boko Haram insurgency. Atiku, the presidential candidate of the opposition PDP, had in a town hall last weekend expressed dismay over the festering activities of the northeast-based terrorists since their breakout in 2009. Atiku was quoted as saying that he could not understand the Boko Haram phenomenon and wondered why Boko Haram continued to operate. The report.
In a reaction on Tuesday, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, said the former vice president should throw the question to his party, PDP, under whose watch the Boko Haram insurgency started in 2009 and festered. The minister gave the response at a briefing in Abuja.
For 6 years, until 2015, when our administration assumed office and inherited Boko Haram, the PDP more or less nurtured the insurgents to the monster they later became. Alhaji Atiku should ask his party why it allowed Boko Haram to operate freely, bombing cities, motor parks, schools, and other soft targets unrestrained. Alhaji Atiku, who was then residing in Abuja before porting to his new abode in Dubai, should ask his party, the PDP, why it allowed Boko Haram to bomb the police headquarters, the UN complex, a shopping mall, and motor parks in Abuja with such ease.
At the briefing, where the Minister of Power, Aliyu Abubakar, who gave the scorecard of the ministry in the past 7 years.
We have executed the most successful metering program, post-privatization, with 1 million meters rolled out in the first phase of the National Mass Metering Program. The Central Bank of Nigeria and the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NARC, were fundamental in designing and implementing this program. We are perfecting plans for an additional 6 million meters under the second and third phases of the program that will commence in the first quarter and second quarters of 2023, respectively.
The Minister of Power also said the ministry under President Muhammadu Buhari has changed the narrative in the power sector from consumption spending to a real infrastructure spending.
A total of 105 power transformer projects were completed during the period 2015 to now, adding a capacity of 6,216 MVA to the grid, with 73 of the power transformers installed by TCN engineers in substations across the nation.
The briefing was launched in October to showcase and document achievements of the Buhari administration. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Moving on to security, several terrorists have been killed by Nigerian Air Force raids in Birnin-Gwari, Igabi and Chikun local government areas of Kaduna State. The State's Commissioner, Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Arwan, said details of the operation were communicated to the state government by security agencies. Arwan said the Nigerian Air Force, in continuation of aerial patrols across Kaduna State, reported that several bandits were killed and camps destroyed in the latest round of operations. He said the latest aerial patrols identified the attack and active location in Kasarami General Area in Chikun local government. The commissioner said the latest round of operations by the security forces targeted and destroyed the residence of a notorious leader of a terrorist gang, Alhaji Lawang. More camps were also targeted and destroyed at Kuduru and Gwanan Baturia. Terrorists were also killed about 4 kilometers west of Nabango. Police and vigilante operatives in Katsina have rescued 5 kidnapped victims unhurt in Kurfi local government area of the state. The victims were abducted by suspected terrorists at Ungwarunji village of Kurfi local government on Sunday. Abdullahi Amadi has details of the report.
Amidst heightened bandits activities in Katsina State, the divisional police officer in Kurfi, Chief Superintendent of Police Mansur Tsani, said the victims were rescued following distress calls they received from residents of Ungwar Runji village. The police operatives working with Vigilante Co. blocked all exit routes to and from the area, which led to the successful rescue operation. While handing over the rescued victims to Kurfi Local Government Council administration to reunite them with their families, the DPO Mansur Tsani said the victims were rescued after a fierce gun duel with the terrorists. He however said some of the terrorists have been neutralized and the police operatives are combing the area with a view to discovering their corpses. While taking over the victims, the Kurfi Local Government Chairman Manir Shehu commended police operatives for their commitments to restoring peace in the state. I have been directed by the Chairman Kurfi Local Government to thank the DPO Mansur Tsani for his hard work and commitment to serving people of the area diligently. The fearless police officer has distinguished himself among his contemporaries. We were rescued by the police and we have to thank them for their quick response, which led to regaining our freedom. We also thank God for that. The rescued victims narrate how they were harassed, beaten and intimidated by the bandits when they were abducted. The terrorists came to our village at night and woke me up, saying I should either give them money or risk being killed. I told them I don't have money because I was having only 20,000 naira on me. On hearing that, they descended on me, beating me mercilessly with sticks and later took me to the bush. Residents called on government and security operatives to intensify efforts in restoring peace to enable displaced people return to their ancestral homes immediately. Abdullahi Ismail Amadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
Meanwhile, bandits have attacked Sabangarin Safana Primary School and abducted 2 teachers in the process. The bandits arrived at the school on motorcycles while activities were at their peak and shot sporadically to scare both teachers and pupils. As at press time, one of the abducted teachers had escaped with several wounds, while the other teacher, Malama Amina Kasim, is still with the terrorists. When contacted, the police spokesman in Katsina, SP Gambo Isa, said they are still investigating the incident. Still on security, the Ebonyi state government has directed all security agencies in the state, including Ebubeago Security Network, to kill any miscreant found with a gun or dangerous weapon in the state. The Commissioner for Information in Ebonyi State, Uchenna Oji, disclosed this in a statement on Monday. The decision of the state government was in response to reported security tensions in Abakaliki, the state capital, on Monday, following sporadic gunshots in the area. Gunmen were said to have invaded the area and disrupted commercial activities, forcing residents to scamper for safety. The attackers were said to be enforcing a 5-day controversial sit-at-home order declared by a faction of the outlawed indigenous people of Biafra. Moving on to crime, Justice Ibrahim Yusuf of the Kwara State High Court has sentenced 3 persons to death by hanging for the rape and murder of a 300-level undergraduate of the University of Ilorin, Omawumi Blessing Olajide. 2 other accused persons were sentenced to 6 years in prison, while 3 were discharged and acquitted. The report.
Omawumi Blessing Olajide was raped and murdered at her Tanke residence along University of Ilorin on the 2nd of June 2021. 8 suspects, including accomplices, were arrested by operatives of the Department of State Security in connection with the crime. Abdulaziz Ismail, Moses Oluwatimileyin, and Oyeyemi Omogbolahon are the prime suspects. The trio, alongside 2 others, were also accused of stealing Omawumi's property and withdrawing money from her account, while 3 others involved in using Omawumi's stolen phone to make calls were also co-defendants in the case. Delivering judgment, Justice Ibrahim Yusuf found the trio of Abdulaziz Ismail, Moses Oluwatimileyin, and Oyeyemi Omogbolahon guilty of rape, robbery, and culpable homicide. He sentenced them to death by hanging.
It went well. The first, second, and third defender, who are the main culprits, were found guilty of culpable homicide, punishable with death, conspiracy to commit robbery, and conspiracy to murder. So they were accordingly sentenced. Because it's maximum, there is no discretion for the court to exercise. By virtue of provision of the Armed Robbery Act, is death. Then with respect to the 4th and 5th defendants, they were found guilty of conspiracy to steal and stealing of money in the account of the deceased. So they were convicted for conspiracy and stealing.
3 defendants who were accused of receiving the stolen phone and making calls with it were lucky to be discharged and acquitted. The late Omawumi Blessing Olajide was a 300-level undergraduate student of the University of Ilorin and was living with Dr. Dukwe Shitu before she was killed. The Guardian could not hold back tears while reacting to the judgment.
I'm grateful to the Almighty God for making this case a success. I'm so grateful that the killer of my daughter has been sentenced to death. I wish. Calm down. I wish she can return.
The case, which started in July last year, saw the court filled with relatives of both the accused and the dead victim.
House of Representatives has ordered the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and other regulatory agencies to end the lingering fuel scarcity within 1 week to ease the sufferings of Nigerians. The order followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance by Saidu Musa Abdullahi at plenary on Tuesday. Presenting the motion, Abdullahi said in the last few months, Nigerians had been subjected to untold hardship caused by the lingering petrol scarcity that has affected economic activities and made the already trying times in the country more difficult. He lamented that while the fuel scarcity is hitting petroleum stations of some major marketers that are currently selling fuel on government-regulated price, some independent marketers have enough petroleum products and are selling at unregulated prices. It further called on the Nigerian Midstream Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission to collaborate with the Nigerian Police Force and DSS to ensure that fuel is sold at the regulated price and in all retail outlets. The House mandates its committees on petroleum resources, downstream, and legislative compliance to ensure compliance. You're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Coming up after the break, how sweet potatoes replaces Irish in Kano. Do stay with us.
Now, as part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening...
Now, looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130...
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secured are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the...
Already, if you look at English squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at...
That's great. It's good to see you.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, you're watching News Hour on Trust TV. Here's a recap of our top stories. You heard that APC PDP Labour presidential candidates woo voters in Kaduna, Plateau and Kogi states pledged to improve security and economic activities in the north. You also heard that on the heels of DSS ultimatum, House of Representatives gives NNPC 1 week to end fuel shortages. Moving to other stories, the debate on whether or not the Nigerian Senate should adopt the new central bank policy on withdrawal limit has been suspended to a later date. This is due to the absence of the chairman, Senate, on banking and other related matters, Obasani, who is away for the zonal APC presidential campaign. The Senate will now receive the report of the Senator Obasani-led Committee on Banking on Wednesday. The report.
The Chairman, Senate Committee on Banking, Insurance and Other Financial Institutions, Obasani, is also expected to brief his colleagues on the outcome of the screening of 2 deputy governors' nominees sent to it by President Muhammadu Buhari. The committee had earlier screened Edward Ademu and Aisha Ahmad as deputy governors of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN. A member of the Obasani-led committee, Senator Olubunmi Adetunbi, on a point of order, told his colleagues that the report, which was to be presented on Tuesday's plenary, had to be withheld because Senator Sani is away for all the Progressives Congress presidential rally held in Kaduna. Senator Adetunbi, who assured that the report was ready, noted that the committee's chairman had to attend the APC zonal rally in his capacity as a governorship candidate of Kaduna State.
The deputy governors gave very elaborate explanation, and the committee actually requested for, the committee also requested for further evidence in terms of documented reports that will enable the committee to fully understand the issues behind this policy and be able to brief the plenary appropriately. Unfortunately, this report is not ready today because the chairman of the committee is busy on political assignments in Kaduna. He had to receive important party officials in the presidential train. And he has asked me to offer this explanation to the plenary that he is coming tomorrow to actually present the formal report of the findings of the committee.
Nigerians are waiting to hear exactly what the National Assembly will do. The House of Representatives have asked the governor of the central bank to stay action on this, but he, as usual in his typical character, he is being stubborn. And I think delaying it until tomorrow is giving him another chance.
In a remark, the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawa, appealed to the lawmakers to be patient as the findings of the committee will be unveiled within 24 hours.
The All Progressives Congress, APC, is today holding a zonal rally hosting the presidential candidate of the party in Kaduna. All the 7 states will be converging in Kaduna. And you know that our chairman of banking is a gubernatorial candidate of Kaduna State. And naturally, we shouldn't expect him to be here at this time because he needs to be there. But we also felt that we should hear from him, the chairman. He told me the report is ready, but he would like to be here to present the report tomorrow. And on the basis of the report that he presents tomorrow, then we can take the next appropriate line of action.
The report is centered on the rationale behind the cash withdrawal limit policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria.
Civil servants in Plateau State have embarked on a 5-day warning strike due to the state government's failure to pay 3-month salaries for workers, amongst other demands. The chairman of Joint National Public Service Negotiating Council, Comrade Titus Malo, said this on Monday at a conference in Jos, the Plateau State capital. Ado Musa completes the report.
The declaration of the action is coming a day after the head of civil service in the state, Sunday Chong, assure workers of government's readiness to pay them their outstanding salaries. The union said the action became necessary due to the government's failure to fulfill the agreement reached between the parties involved on November 11, 2022. The state chairman of the NLC, Eugene Manji, expressed dissatisfaction over the state government's inability to hold its part of the agreement.
Of which the leadership were in the presence of that meeting. And then we expected them to have fulfilled the agreement on or before 14th of November. And that August was supposed to be paid in full, that means gross, on or before 14th of November. And that of September, October also were to be paid on or before the end of November 2022. Here we are in December 12th of December 2022. Automatically, of all what we discussed, nothing has been done. And that goes to say, the August salary has only just been paid in half. So we can start counting from August, September, October, November. Ideally, we are even due for that of December by now, to enable people to celebrate their Christmas on the plateau. Christmas will be celebrated on the 25th. And salaries are supposed to be paid on or before 25th. So probably in a week's time, legitimately we're supposed to have our salaries by that.
Chairman of the Joint Negotiating Council, Titus Malo, while listening their demands, said They want their wages paid so that they can have a smooth festive period.
The demands of the Joint Public Service Negotiating Council are as follows. Non-payment of salaries for 3 months, that's from September 2022 to date. As you know, this festive period is a time that people need their wages so that they can have a smooth festivity.
However, residents are skeptical about the strike at this crucial time of the year, as it can worsen the already fragile economic situation in the state. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
3 exotic Toyota cars with official number plates of the Federal Inland Revenue Service suspected to have been smuggled have been impounded by customs at Babana border in Niger Kogi Area Command. The Customs Area Controller, Niger Kogi Area Command, Bo Kadejo, who displayed the seizures at the Customs House, Mina, said investigation had already been launched to establish if the cars were smuggled with the aid of FIRS official number plates or by the agency itself. He said 15 vehicles valued at 141 million naira were seized in November 2022. Kadejo said other items seized were 229 cartons of pharmaceuticals containing 9,160 anti-malarial drugs suspected to be fake and manufactured in Indonesia. Others were 657 cartons of canned sardine fish, 305 cartons of imported Jaro soap, 12 bales of second-hand clothes, 69 cartons with 30 pieces each of machetes, 3 sacks of jackknives containing 600 pieces, and 1 sack containing 590 pieces, respectively. Kadejo said the duty-paid value of the items seized, including vehicles, was over 165 million naira, adding that the command generated the sum of 22,670,706 naira as revenue from demand notices issued for short payments in November this year.
Prominent among the seized items are these 15 vehicles of various makes valued at 141,600,000 naira. Other items seized and their quantities are as follows. We have pharmaceutical 229 cartons. In each carton, we have 40 pieces, totaling 9,160 pieces. Other pharmaceuticals. Footwears, these are second-hand shoes. We have 4 bales. Canned sardine fish, which I showed you the other time. We have 7 cartons. In each carton, we have 50 pieces, totaling 32,850 pieces.
The controller said 5 suspects have been arrested but granted administrative bail. Away from that story, early child education, according to educators, helps to build a child's cognitive, physical, social, and emotional proficiency, which will prepare them for life's challenges. In this report, Noel Sampson looks at how important early education is and ways it could be improved in the country. The report.
Children who are enrolled in an early childhood education program are believed to achieve more success at school. As adults, they are said to have better career opportunities, improved health, and lower level of dependency and crime rates than those who do not attend an early education program. Hence the need for it to be encouraged.
Early childhood education is the most important of all the stages of education, because it's at that point that children form the foundation and the basis for learning. And so education is not just about school, it's about learning. So they do both in school and out of school learning. So for me, any serious nation, any serious institution must invest in early childhood education, because if you get it wrong there, then the foundation is actually destroyed. So there's really nothing you can do.
In Nigeria, many are divided on the issue of accessibility to early childhood education.
Basic education to an average Nigerian is not as accessible as it should be, because we have cases of the number of out-of-school children in Nigeria is like 19.3 million. We have one of the highest numbers.
Basic education is accessible to all Nigerians. That is why government take it as pain upon them to build schools all over the places. You know, any school from a pole to another pole or a village to a village, you must see primary school there.
Some Nigerians suggest ways in which it could be made more accessible.
Government is on it already. Basic education can be accessible to all. One, by making the primary school education free for every child.
We have discovered that this homegrown school feeding, you understand, it has really increased the enrollment of pupils in our schools. So this is an instrument that has even actually helped pupils to increase their enrollment.
One of the major things we can do to make early childhood education more accessible in Nigeria is to actually even invest. Or first thing is to admit that there's a problem in that sector, because it seems like nobody's looking at that side of education. And so first is to admit, second is to deliberately plan programs, and also to support even NGOs doing the work around early childhood education, for instance, to encourage them to do more work.
A child's early years are the foundation for his or her future development and provide a strong base for lifelong learning and learning abilities. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Thank you, Noel, for that report. Moving on, the frequency of fire outbreaks during Harmattan season, though a mystery, can be prevented against occurring to avoid loss of lives and property. In this report, Noel Sampson speaks to a victim of a fire incident and seeks advice of the Federal Fire Service on preventive measures. The report. All right, with that, we'll move on to the next story. As high cost of living continues to take its toll into people's earnings, residents of Kano who cannot afford Irish potatoes find an alternative in sweet potatoes. In this report, Trust TV correspondent Idris Jibrin reports that Irish potatoes has jumped to as high as 130,000 naira compared to 11,000 naira for sweet potatoes. The report.
This is called Yankaba Market in Kano, from where Irish potato arrives by the truckloads. But not anymore, as traders say its price has gone as high as 130,000 naira per bag, the worst in over 30 years. Honestly, the business of Irish potato is not going well these days, both between the buyers and the sellers. Everything is terrible. But people are talking about because of the high cost of diesel that we use in transporting the Irish from different parts of the country, that contributed to make it even worse. And then it's not its season. I can tell you that as of last week, we sold one bag of Irish potato at the cost of 110,000 naira. But today, as I'm talking to you, we are selling one bag at the cost of 130,000 naira. But with the high cost of Irish potato, the Dakata sweet potato market is now booming, as the products arrives here by the truckloads on daily basis. The price here is cheaper, and traders say it's affordable. You know, the price of sweet potato is seasonal. Before now, we used to sell it at 7,000, 6,000, and even 8,000. But nowadays, we are selling it at about between 8,000, 9,000, 11,000, up to 12,000, depending on how it comes from the farm. Sweet potato is sold at between 10 to 11,000 naira per bag, compared to about 7,000 naira before now. And it can go in quantity as low as 100 naira, depending on what the buyers want. Sweet potato that you are seeing, I have that of 300 naira, 200 naira, 100 naira. But that of 100 naira has been sold. They have already bought it out. although sweet potato is cheaper. But with the Irish potato becoming more and more scarce and highly expensive, there are growing concerns that the price of sweet potato could equally go high in the next coming days. Idris Jubrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. More stories after the break.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. The frequency of fire outbreaks during Harmattan season, though a mystery, can be prevented against occurring to avoid loss of lives and property. In this report, Noel Sampson speaks to a victim of a fire incident and seeks advice from the Federal Fire Service on preventive measures.
Recently, a fire outbreak at a furniture factory in Gwarinpa, Abuja, consumed fortunes in one fell swoop. The owner of the factory lamented the extent of the destruction the fire outbreak has caused to her business, losing over 200 million worth of goods, though no life was lost to the fire.
I was asking my security what happened. He told me the fire just started from somewhere and it was not much, so he wanted to get fire extinguisher and quench it. Then one of the staff, Muhammadu, he now went out, brought shovel and just put sand on the small fire that was burning. So that was how the fire now flared up and everything caught fire. And it was the same security, Merit, that now dropped the extinguisher because he couldn't control it with our extinguisher. He now went and quickly off the generator because they were working with the generator. There was no light then.
However, the Federal Fire Service has tips on how to mitigate incidences of fire outbreaks during the Harmattan season. Spokesman of the service said utilizing preventive measures will go a long way to secure not only valuable but also precious lives of Nigerians.
He emphasized prevention over firefighting. In his own exact words, fire prevention is cheaper, it's easier, and it's safer than firefighting, because of the enormous resources that you put out. And so the emphasis for me, if you talk about Harmattan season and the festivity, because we're in December, end of year, January, New Year festivity and all of that, areas that we must look out for. Number one, uncontrolled bush burning. It's a very, very dangerous thing to do at this time because, like I said, there's a lot of fuel around, so you can easily ignite. We must also put off appliances that are not in use because of the heat, the excessive heat, especially when, from our data repository center, more than 80% of the fire incident we have in this part of the globe is electric fire. So illegal connection, tapping of wires, and then substandard wiring materials.
Prevention, they said, is better than cure. If all these preventive measures are adhered to and utilized, loss of lives and properties to fire incidents could be avoided or mitigated. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
We'll now join Chiamaka Nwafo for business news.
The International Air Transport Association has revealed that airlines will pay $222 billion extra for fuel this year. IATA's Regional Vice President for Africa and the Middle East, Kamil Alawadi, in his address to the 2022 General Assembly of the African Airlines Association taking place in Dakar, Senegal, said although oil prices have retreated from mid-year peaks, the average price of jet fuel so far this year has been $138.8 a barrel. According to the IATA boss, this means airlines would collectively pay an extra $222 billion for fuel this year compared with 2021, adding that fuel accounts for 30% of airline costs. United States stock futures rose over 3% after consumer inflation eased in November, warranting a less hawkish Federal Reserve and bringing some relief to policymakers, according to government data released on Tuesday. However, the figure is still about 3 times the pre-pandemic pace. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, a closely watched measure of inflation, jumped 7.1% from a year ago, down from 7.7% in October, according to the figures released by the Labor Department. On a month-to-month basis, the Consumer Price Index rose just 0.1% in November, down from 0.4% in October. SP 500 contracts jumped as the Nasdaq 100 futures added more than 4%, while the policy-sensitive 2-year Treasury yield sank more than 15 basis points. And finally, in the stock, the Tuesday's trading activities on the floor of the Nigerian stock market closed bearish on profit taken in MTN Nigeria and 15 other stocks. The all-share index declined by 0.09% to close at 48,853.54 points from the previous close of 48,899.08 points. Market capitalization declined by 0.09% to close at 26.609 trillion naira, shedding 25 billion naira. The market break closed negative as 13 equities emerged as gainers against 16 equities that declined in their share prices. An aggregate of 162.98 million units of shares was traded in 3,286 deals valued at about 3.87 billion naira. And that's it on Business News. I am Chiamaka Nwafo.
Moving away from business, the federal government has approved that Nigerians returning home can be admitted into the country with their expired Nigerian passports. This is contained in a letter from the Comptroller General of Immigration Service, Issa Jere Idris, addressed to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Onyema. The statement requested all airlines to allow holders of expired Nigerian passports to board without let or hindrance. The CGIS had recently directed the immediate setting up of diaspora desks in all international airports in order to have a seamless passport processing for all Nigerians coming home this Yuletide and who may be desirous of processing their passports. A statement by the Public Relations Officer of the Nigeria Immigration Service, Anthony Akuneme, added that the CGIS had directed passport offices across the country to give priority attention to such citizens living outside the country and their families, bearing in mind that most of them have a specific time of returning to their countries of residence. The fast-track passport process for this Yuletide commenced a few weeks ago with the opening of passport offices on Saturday and will last until 31st of January 2023. On the foreign scene, at least 50 people have been killed in the Congolese capital Kinshasa after heavy rains unleashed floods and caused landslides. The city's police chief, Silvano Kasongo, said on Tuesday there were already 50 deaths, adding that the death toll is likely to rise. Once the site of fishing villages on the banks of the Congo River, Kinshasa has grown into one of Africa's largest megacities with a population of around 15 million. Like in other countries on the continent, poorly regulated rapid urbanization has made Kinshasa increasingly vulnerable to flash floods after intense rains, which have become more frequent due to climate change. Up next is Adeni Ajishafe with sports news.
Federal Capital Territory Football Association Chairman Eda Mukhtar Mohammed has pledged support for the President of Nigerian Football Federation, Ibrahim Gusso. The FCTFA Chairman is an integral member of the National Youth Team Task Force Committee for Under-17, Under-20 and the Under-23 teams, inaugurated by the President of the Nigerian Football Federation in developing the round ladder game in Nigeria, headed by Katsina State FA Chairman Balile Karfi. Mukhtar also pledged support for Nigeria's Under-20 Flying Eagles campaign in Abuja and encouraged the team to perform well in the African Youth Championship qualifier in Cairo, Egypt, and the World Cup in Indonesia. And still in football, Atlas Lions of Morocco coach Wally Regrao has debunked claims that Morocco team is planning a special hold on Kylian Mbappe of France when the two teams meet on crunchy semi-final duel. In this tournament, the Cameroon-born Paris Saint-Germain star has been in superlative form with 5 goals in 5 matches. Regrao said the Les Bleus have so many talented individual players that will not allow reasonable opposition coach to concentrate on just a player. Mbappe goes up against PSG clubmate and close friend Achraf Hakimi, Morocco's highly rated right back. Morocco are going into the semi-final hoping to add France to an impressive list of countries they have conquered at the Mondial, though they need to get players fit in time after the exertion of their 5 games in Qatar. Morocco will face France at Al Bayt Stadium on Wednesday by 8 p.m. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
And with this, we've come to the end of News Hour on Trust TV. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.